Hi guys, Mr. May here. I just thought I'd do a quick video on the topic of match betting. Now, I haven't actually undertaken match betting, but it is something that I've been looking at recently. And the first thing I like to do is get a grip of the numbers that are behind the system. What I'll do after that, I don't know, but I just thought I'd do the video show you how the numbers are panning out. I can't understand how, personally, a lot of money is made. There is various claims about people being able to generate £500 per month, and I don't dispute that. I haven't tried it in earnest. Well, I haven't tried it at all, but it's something I'm looking at. But I just can't get the numbers to stack up at the minute. But I just thought I'd run through the mechanics of how it works, both to clarify it in my mind, and then if you're watching this, maybe you might be able to help me with some of the questions that it raises as I go through the video. So to start with, the basics appear to be for match betting that certain bookmakers, as I understand it quite a lot, offer opening offers where if you put, there's a popular one with a bookmaker where you put £5, an initial £5 bet on, and after you've made your £5 bet, you get a free bet worth £20. And it's the free bet worth £20 that actually generates the income from this. So what you've basically got to do is, it's called match betting because you make a bet at a normal online bookmaker, and then you use a betting exchange to what they call lay the bet off. So what that effectively means is, if you put the bet on at the bookmaker, you are betting for a certain event to happen. Like if it's a football match, you're betting for a team to win. Now, what you will then do is go to the betting exchange, which is a different company, and you'll lay the bet off. So what you'll do in that effect is you will place your bet, what's known as a lay bet, and basically that will pay out if the team draws or loses. So effectively at the bookmaker you've got the win, and at the lay bet on the betting exchange you've got the lose and draw. So you're covered for all scenarios. So I've got the spreadsheet here that I've put together that shows you the one that I talked about. What you do firstly on the qualifying bet, the aim of the game is to place your stake, and you will always, or unless the odds are a bit skew with, the majority of times you will be looking to make a small loss. So here, what I've done is I've got the £5 stake, which is the amount that you need to put on to get your £20 free bet. The odds are 1.5 at the bookies, that's known as the back bet, you're backing to win. And then the lay bet at the betting exchange, the 1.51. The lay betting exchange will always invariably be higher than the bookies because people are going to the betting exchange looking for a better return on the money. So what basically happens on the lay betting, what you've got to bear in mind is you get charged a commission on any winnings that you receive. So the usual commission rate is 5%. So in this case, let's just run through. If the back bet wins, this is if you're betting to win at the bookies, you put £5 on. If the back bet wins, you will get £7.50 back in winnings. That includes your stake. So if you take your stake off, that's £5. What's happened is you've had a lay bet liability that you've put on at the betting exchange. That's £2.62. That's what you've had to pay out to somebody else. So your overall profit and loss in that case is 12 pence. So on your initial stake, of £5 at the bookies, you've made a loss of 12 pence. That's if the back bet wins. Now if the lay bet wins, the lay bet return will be £5.14, which is the amount basically you put on. I will go through how that works in a second. Less your lay bet commission. So like I said, the exchange takes a commission that can be 5%. That's a normal commission rate. So that's 26p that needs to come off. Your back bet stake, that's the amount that you put on at the bookmakers, £5. So again, you can see your overall profit loss is 12 pence. So in both scenarios, if your team wins, you win. If your team wins at the bookmaker, you make a loss overall of 12 pence between the two. And if your team loses or draws, which means your lay bet actually returns, again, you make an overall loss of 12 pence. The 12 pence basically is acceptable because you will, well, the 12 pence loss, you will then net that off to whatever you win using the free bet. Now I'm just going to go across to the spreadsheet just to give you an idea, try and give you an idea of how the lay bet works. And what I got confused is when it says the lay bet stake, you put a stake on and then it gives you a liability. Now the stake is only used to calculate the liability. You don't actually place, or the stake is not taken out of your money. It's only the liability that you've actually got to worry about, which will be taken out of your money. So, if a bookmaker is offering 1.5, effectively, the exchange odds are likely to be 1.51 because they're looking for a greater return, or there could be 1.6, but they're going to be higher than the 1.5. So a person backing to win will put a £5 on. His winnings will be £8, but that includes the stake. So less the stake, there's a £3 needs to be recovered from the layer. Now the person laying the bet, which is you will put in a value to lay of £5, but that is just a amount that you need to recover for the bet you've put on at the bookmakers. So the actual amount that you're worried about losing is not £5, it's actually the £3 here, because if you lost at the betting exchange, you would basically, because the person's put £5 on, he wins £8, but that includes his stake, so he only needs £3. So the £3 is then what you'd give him back, or what you'd give him, because basically you laid his bet and you lost. But as I've previously said, because you've got that matched at the bookies, then you would receive that income at the other side on the bookies. So if you looked at your accounts overall, you would then come back to the small loss as I described earlier. Right, so now I'm going to move on to the scenario for the free bet. Now, as I said earlier, there's certain bookmakers that offer £5. If you stake £5, they will give you a £20 free bet. Now, what these are usually called is putting the initial stake on to obtain the free bet is called a qualifying bet. So I've got the numbers in here. So we put £5 on. You've got to watch these odds because there's usually minimum odds that are required. So we put £5 on, and this calculates that in order to make the small loss of 12 pence at those odds, the liability, we have to put the value of the lay bet as £5.14, but we don't lose the £5.14. The amount that we will stand to lose at the betting exchange if it doesn't go our way will be £2.62. So that is the amount that you need to have the liability in your account to enable you to actually place the bet with the betting exchange, because they want to know that your liability is covered. Now let me just show you. What you need to do is be careful though, because it specifies minimum odds in the terms and conditions. If we put the odds of 2.5, then you can see, and that 2.51, you can see that the higher the odds go, let's go 5.5, 5.5, 5.51. The higher the odds go, the larger the overall profit loss increases, albeit, to be fair, by pence, but the liability increases as well. So at this rate, the liability is £22.72. So that's the amount you have to have at the betting exchange. So when you're placing your qualifying bet, you want to get these odds as low as you can, but be, again, careful of the terms and conditions, and you want to get them as close together as you can. So if that was 1.5 and 1.6, then the profit loss, as you can see, goes up quite significantly. So you need to get these within as close as you can do. It's better, actually, if you get a 2.5 and a 2.51 to go that, if you can afford the extra liability, then to get a spread of 1.5 to 1.6, as that increases the overall profit and loss. Well, the loss in this case. So you need to minimize that as much as you can. So we'll go back to the 1.51. So we place that qualifying bet. It either wins at the bookies, we make a 12 pence loss, or it wins at the betting exchange, we make a 12 pence loss. Both the same way. Now, we now qualify for the free bet. The stake this time is £20. Now, I'll show you, I've got odds in 11 here, but if I change those to 2, you can see if we place the £20 bet at the odds of 2, we make an overall profit either on the betting exchange here or the bookies of £9.27 each case, less the 12 pence gives us a return there of £9.15. So you can see that taken in earnest altogether, a profit has been made on the overall transaction of £9.15, which is what potentially you could withdraw from either the betting exchange or the bookmaker. However, what I'm going to show you here is, you can see here I've put the back stake, the odds. This has calculated the lay value, and then the lay odds, which in this case are 0.1, so the 2 to 2.1. That's just an example. You need to get it as close, these values as close together as you can. As you can see, with the 5% commission rate at the betting exchange, the overall return will be £9.15. And the lay liability, which is how much you have to have in your betting exchange account, is £10.73. But as you can see, as the odds increase on this free bet stake, as the odds increase, the amount that you actually return increases as well. So £20 at odds of 9 to 9.1, 9 at the bookies, 9.1 at the betting exchange, will return you £16.68. Now, the problem with that is, if we put the 9s in here, you can see £16.68, that's the 16.80 less the 12. I've taken it off in the bottom table there. But as you can see, the liability is £143.20. Now that is how much you need to have in your betting exchange account. And if the back bet wins and the lay bet loses, you will need to pay that out to the person who you've got matched with. But as you can see, if the back bet wins at the bookmakers, you will get £160 return from that. Basically, it's although the odds are 9, you don't get your stake back. That's the usual method. So the stake hasn't been returned. So effectively, it's 8 to 1. So it's 160, 8 to 1 at £20, £160. But you've had to pay out of the betting exchange £143.20. So your overall profit is 16.80 less your 12, which if we go down here is the £16.68. As you can see, as the odds increase, the lay liability increases, and it gets to a point, I believe, although here you can see 11 odds of 11 up to 12s, the return £17.7 to £17.22. So for an added return of what's that, 13, 15 pence, you've got to shell out another £20 in lay bet. Now, personally, there must be a point that it's just not worth it. I mean, are you going to lay £262 just, which is in, what's that? It's £80 more than that for the sake of winning. So you're laying an extra £80, £262 for the sake of winning an extra, 48 pence? Is it 48? Yeah, 48 pence. So there comes a point where there must be a reasonable trade-off between the amount you're willing to risk and the added amount that you're gonna receive from the return. So that is something that you need to bear in mind. Now, what I've done also is up here I've got 5% commission rates, but there is a betting exchange that actually has a 2% commission rate. Now, I don't think the markets are as liquid, but what I've done here is I've tried to show you the extra benefit of if you had a 2% commission rate. So at the lower odds, you're basically getting 15 pence and it goes up to around 50 pence. So I mean, a decent trade-off, I think, is the £150. So the £16.68, the 2% commission will be worth an extra 50p. Now, that is better in your pockets if you can get away, if you can get a reasonable lay at the betting exchange for the 2% commission. That's better in your pocket, but it's not the end of the world. So there we've gone over the basics of how I believe the numbers stack up. Like I say, I haven't undertaken this. What I can't understand personally is, I mean, this is on a qualifying bet £5 with a free bet of £20 and these numbers come in. I can't understand how, I mean, granted, you're going to make possibly £16 net, but that is only £16 out of opening one new bookie account. How is it going to be that you're going to be able to add these amounts up to make the £500? It doesn't seem plausible, really. That's what I'm trying to say. It feels as if it's going to be very difficult. I mean, granted, if your back stake goes up, if it went up, say, to £30, then obviously you're dealing with more money that you're able to generate, and your lay amounts are also going up, but there you're making £25 on a back stake of £30, but at odds of 9s and above, it feels difficult to achieve those, and I can't understand where the £500 comes from. So maybe if you've got any ideas about that, you can let me know. The other thing is that surprises me. I can't understand. I mean, there is some bookmakers, as I've read on the internet, that don't like this activity going off, and effectively they they will close your accounts down. But if you're laying stakes, I mean, the best thing that could happen to you is that the bookmaker loses and your bookmaker bet always loses and your betting exchange always wins. And then I presume the betting exchange are happy because they're going to get their commission rate on your return. So if you're always having to put a qualifying bet down that loses, then presumably the bookmakers are still going to be making a return themselves. Um, so that confuses me as well. I mean, they do mention as well about reload offers, where once you've got this is a open a new account where you stake £5, you get a £20 free bet, and then you get reload offers as well. But I can't imagine these reload offers are as generous. But maybe I'm wrong. So if you have got any comments, let me know. I'd be very interested to hear what you've got to say. And I'm sorry that the numbers have been a bit involved, but just please let me know your thoughts, and I'd be very interested to hear them. Thank you very much for watching today. Thank you.